Here behind me is the mass grave of 24 individuals that were murdered on October 3rd, 1786 by Indian savages. This location is known as Defeated Camp, and there was a Kentucky plaque, historical plaque, that sat right here, but it appears our tornado that we had last year in 2025, as you can see, it did a lot of damage to the trees, and it did a lot of damage in our area. And if I had to guess, the sign went with it. Now, I have not been out here to witness the sign, but if I will post images of the sign. It was a Kentucky historical placard that sat right here. It was titled Defeated Camp. And as I mentioned in the title, this is the actual mass grave of 24 individuals that were brutally murdered by Indians in the dead of the night, early morning hours, 3 a.m. It was very early. And what happened was they were settlers coming from Virginia, and they were traveling along Boone's Trace, is what this path is on. And they made it across. They made it past the Cumberland Gap, and they thought they were safe. Well, they came here. They decided to camp here for the night. And they were drinking throughout the night. They were celebrating because they thought they were safe. They did not post a guard, and they were being tracked by Indians, and they didn't know about it at the time. They were being tracked by Indians, and they were all killed in their sleep. Now, they did have guns and weaponry, but they were flintlock, rifle. They were flint rifles, and the gunpowder was all, damp from the mist and rain from the previous nights, so they wasn't able to fight back. As you can see, there is a headstone here. You can't really read much on it. Kentucky's world. It's very, very hard to make out. It looks like it reads Kentucky's worst. I don't even know what it reads. But as you can see here, it does read McNitt's defeat, October 3rd, 1786. You can read that clearly. At least, I don't know how well it's picking up on camera, but you are able. There's the shadows the sun is casting. But you can read that on this part here. This piece is supposed to obviously sit on top there. It's just very, very hard to read. But yeah, just knowing the fact that there's a mass grave. Now, there's supposedly 2 mass graves here after they were all murdered. And the thing is, the information is very, very scattered. You can look it all up. I'll post articles, links in the description. But there's a lot of scattered information, but there was survivors. One of the survivors was a woman that was pregnant, and we are going to be going to the location here soon, so stay tuned for that to the end of the video. One of the women was pregnant, and she, after, the ambush was going on, and her brothers and sisters, and everyone was being literal murdered, she took off running. I think it was pitch dark. She just took off running. Well, up in them hills there, it's pretty steep. She would have took off running that way, and she hid into a hollowed out tree in which she had her baby inside that tree. We are going to go to that location. So like I said, stay tuned to the end of the video. We're going to go there and check that out. Now, the tree is no longer standing because this is from the 1786. It's quite a while ago. So the tree is no longer standing, but they do have a circle stone monument and a sign in the middle where the tree once stood. And she had her baby inside that hollowed out tree. So as I already mentioned, the attack was on October 3rd, 1786, and it was carried out by the Shawnee and Chickamauga Indians. 24 victims in total were buried here. Also, something I want to note, it is very cold here in Kentucky. It is 16 degrees. I am freezing. I'm very frigid. But in here, in these stones, lie 2 mass graves. One being men, and then the other mass grave is women and children. So you might be wondering, why is it called McNitt's defeat? Who was McNitt? What is McNitt? Who is it? Well, to put it shortly, McNitt was a group of settlers from Virginia. They were a group of 14 families led by the McNitt, Ford, and Barnes families. And you might be wondering, what were they trying to achieve coming to Kentucky from Virginia? They were heading to central Kentucky to claim land via Boone's Trace, which is what this path is. This is Boone's Trace, named after, you guessed it, Daniel Boone. And as I did mention, there were survivors. Among some of the survivors, a woman named Elizabeth McNitt. She ran up into the hills, into the darkness, and found a hollowed out tree, hid into it, and ended up having her baby inside the tree stump. A man hid into a tree and watched down as his family was being murdered. Some of the survivors even ran over to the river here that still flows to this day and hid inside brush piles. One of the reports that I saw online was one of the men that hid in the brush piles along the river there hid for 2 days under that brush because he didn't feel it was safe to leave. So he hid there for 2 days. So as I did mention, there's a lot of just scattered information because this is literally from the 1700s. So there's a lot of scattered information out there, but there's a transcript that I did see online, and I will link it in my description. But you gotta realize it wasn't just adults that got savagely murdered. It was also children, 2 of which got kidnapped by the Indians. One of the little girls was only 8 years old, and she got sold to another Indian chief, Little Turtle, and he was married to her for she was gone for 17 years and had a baby with him. And she came back to Indiana, where she was from, and her family kept her locked in the house. And apparently, then this is in the transcript. So like I said, it's all scattered information. And Little Turtle, he was all upset, kicking around outside for 2 days. And then he ended up leaving. And then she ended up remarrying again. And those 2 little girls that got kidnapped were actually sisters. And the other girl was held for ransom. I think she was sold for ransom, I believe. What's really sad is these people, these settlers, this family, they came here from Virginia because they wanted a better life here. They wanted to settle here in Kentucky. They made it past the Cumberland Gap, which is a very dangerous area, and they landed here in this very spot, camped out here in this exact spot in 1786. They camped here, they partied, they drank into the night. They celebrated because they thought that they made it past the violent, like the very violent area. They felt they were safe here. So they did not post a guard that night, and they were brutally attacked and murdered in cold blood by Indian savages. Now, as I have mentioned, you can't even really read much at all. It's just very, very old. But you can make this part out. McNitt's defeat, October 3rd, 1786. And as you can see, this rock wall has been completely demolished in this area here. Completely demolished. And if, like I said, if I had to guess, it has to be because of the tornado that we had in 2025. So it's a real shame that this is their final resting place. Not to mention that they are literally in mass graves, and it's in this condition. Now, if you look it up, like I said, you're going to find scattered information, but there's an actual transcript that I was reading that the body is laid here for 8 days. 8 days the body's laid here until people were able to make it out here. And by the time they made it out here, wolves were eating at the carcasses. They were all mangled. A very, very unfortunate situation. I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine that the body is laid out here and rot for 8 days. It's sad. We will walk in here because people do come out here and lay flowers, so it's not like unknown for people to come in here. But it's very sad that it's just a mass grave. Two mass graves is what the transcript read. One being men and the other being women and children. I probably won't even really go much farther, guys, because it's just out of respect, really. I just don't really feel right just walking in there, and you can't even see much anyway. I'll walk a little bit and show you guys this, I suppose. I wonder if this is where maybe the tree sat that the man hid up in, because apparently from online reports and transcripts, someone hid up in a tree right above and just watched down as literally their family was being murdered. Just very, very sad time. Unfortunate. I'm at a loss of words, really. Here's a nice little memorial where people has laid coins down. All right, guys, I think we're going to head up this way. Now, there's a sign pathway walking up that way. I have not been up it yet, so we're gonna walk up it together for the first time. And it should lead us to where, I believe her name was Elizabeth McNitt. That is where she hid and had her baby, into the tree stump, which, like I said, the tree stump is no longer standing. But we're gonna head up there to where the tree stump was. Another thing, if you are wanting to come here, I guess this is no better time to film. I am freezing, it is so cold. No better time than to film this when there's no leaves. I mean, it's unfortunate that all these trees are down. But, so there's the McHarg's Mill. I have filmed videos there before. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna come up this way here, and it's literally right here. I mean, there is some pullover spot here if you'd want to pull over and park your car. I'm parked over there. My van's over there. You might be able to see it. I'm all the way, my hand is, guys, it is, oh, look at my hand. Oh, I can just barely move my fingers. It is, oh, guys, it is cold. Very, very cold out today. But you are able to pull your car over. I think we're going to come back here in the summertime and do a video. I just really wanted to see this for myself. It's very unfortunate about that sign, though. Very unfortunate. Yeah, my hands are definitely freezing, guys. It is so cold out today. We will come back out here this summer and do another video on this. I just really want to show you guys this because I've never been here before. I filmed a video at McHarg's Mill a year ago when I first moved here and didn't know about this at the time, or else I would have came here and I would have been able to see that Kentucky placard myself, but it's unfortunate. We're gonna walk this way, and I'm just gonna keep the camera rolling. There is a pathway that I think will lead us up to, like I said, look at that hill. Look at that. It's crazy that pregnant woman just ran, just not knowing who she may run into. She just ran literally for her life. Not only her life, but her baby's life. She was running, total darkness, could not see anything. Found a hollowed out tree, hid inside of it, and had her baby inside. That is mind blowing to me. Just the history, the rich history that we have here in Kentucky is mind blowing. And the fact that some of the men ran this way and hid under brush piles. In one report, I saw that a man hid under a brush pile for 2 days. Right along the river there. I don't know. Just crazy to me. So we're gonna walk up this way. Guys, I am still freezing. My hands, like I said, it's cold out today. There's the McHarg's Mill. That is a mill reproduction. I have done a video on that. I can link that at the end. But we're gonna walk this way, and there's a sign that says Boone Trace. McHarg's Mill, thank you for visiting. And over on this side of the sign, shelters 1 and 2, shelters 3 and 4, museum, gift shop, cemetery, which is what we just saw, campground, and pool. We are going to walk this way, up these stairs. Make sure nothing's coming either way. And we're gonna walk along Boone Trace. Up these stairs. Steep grades, not handicap accessible. There's trail regulations if anybody's interested in that. And right here, Daniel Boone's Trail from North Carolina to Kentucky, 1775, erected by the Kentucky Daughters of the American Revolution, 1915. Well, here we go. I think this may lead us to that tree stump. Let's go ahead and walk along this. And yes, guys, it is pretty steep. But you know what? We can do it. My fingers are just, my hands. It is, guys, it is cold out. It is very cold out. And yeah, this is pretty steep. It ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. Just think, that poor woman just scared, literally scared for her life, running up this hill. She didn't have these stairs. Just, I don't know, it's just sad to think about. Very sad. I think it's a little too cold out today for copperheads. So I don't think I have to worry about any of those today. If they're out today, they're insane. But no, they should be in brumation. I wonder what that is. Almost looks like it's part of like a marker or something. Oh, concrete. Hollowed out hole. Not sure which way to go. Either that way or this way. We'll go this way. I seriously do think this is going to take us to that. Yeah. I have it pinned on my phone to take us there, and that's where it's supposed to be. Where that red marker is. So this should be. Yep. Yeah, I see the rocks. See the rock formation. Is the sign still in there? No. Don't tell me the sign got destroyed too. Okay, it looks like it's laying inside of it. Okay. All right, yeah, here we are. This is it. Yeah, the sign got destroyed. There's some damage on the sign there. I apologize for the heavy breathing. Trust me, it's not just because of that trek up here. It's just so cold, it's hard to breathe. But here we are. Levi Jackson Historical Stump. At this site on October 3rd, 1786, a young woman of the McNitt's party, settlers who came to be known as the Defeated Camp, gave birth to a daughter in a hollow tree after escaping an Indian massacre that killed all but 3 members of the party. This plaque marks the spot where the tree stood and where subsequently the stump of the tree was located. Right here in this very spot. Crazy that it was right here. Crazy to me. Just wonder what was going through her mind. Being pregnant, like I said, literally running for her life, running for her baby's life. My nose is getting so red. Guys, it's freezing out here. I know some people are going to get upset about my choice of words saying Indian, and I don't really care. That's how I was raised I was taught in school the word Indian. It's not offensive to me. I know some people will sit and say, well, it's not offensive to you, but it's offensive to, no, that's what they've always been known as. Literally, even signs depict it. Indian in the Cupboard movie that I grew up watching. History books in school, the word Indian. No, I'm going to continue using it. If people are offended to say it, and that's their right if they don't want to say it. but I'm gonna say it if I'd like to, and that's that. Even on that sign right there, Indian Massacre. And it was an Indian massacre. These people didn't have a right to be killed. They didn't have a right to be killed. These were Indian savages that did this to these people. 2 of the little girls got kidnapped. 8 years old. One of the little girls was 8 years old. And she was sold to another Indian. I believe the transcript that I read said she was kidnapped by unfriendly Indians and then sold to a friendly Indian, which then married her. Married her. 8 years old. I mean, come on. And don't get me started on Jenny Wiley. That is another unfortunate story that we will do a deep dive into in the future. Now that is in East Kentucky. That's a few hours away from me. They were savages. I'm tired of acting like they were saints. The land was not stolen. This land was not stolen. I know that's a thing that a lot of people love to say is, oh, this is stolen. No, it wasn't. Conquered land, yes, but not stolen. That's the harsh reality of it. A lot of white women were kidnapped, raped. Their babies, the whole Jenny Wiley, she had a baby and they murdered her baby. And it's sad. It's just a whole sad history. And I'm just tired of people acting like they were savages. Savages. I know this video is going to upset a lot of people. I know it will. I mean, the history to me, it is interesting. The history, I love the history aspect, I do. But I mean, come on. These people didn't deserve this. All the other thousands and thousands of women and children that's been murdered and raped and raised and married into that life, they didn't ask for that. So I know this video is going to upset a lot of people, and I just don't care. So if this is where the tree was, let's walk alongside the little hillside cliff here and look down where the defeated camp is. We probably won't really be able to see it because of all the trees. Okay, there's McHarg's Mill right down there. I don't know if you guys are being able to see that because all the trees. McHarg's Mill is right there. So yeah, it would have been like a straight shot of her. Oh, check this out. I wonder if that's like a part of a chimney or something of an old settler house. I wonder what that is. Check that out. I have no, if anybody knows in the comments down below what that is, let me know in the comments down below. That's interesting. It goes in, you probably can't really tell, but it definitely goes in back that way a little bit. So, yeah, it was basically a straight shot. McHarg's Mills, like I said, is there. Straight shot, so you ran this way. I can't really see, because a lot of it's blending in. Yeah, a lot of it's blending in. I can't really see that well. But she would have just ran straight up this way. Can't see nothing, pitch dark. Just running for her life. Literally running up this hill. Kept running, found a tree stump. A hollowed out tree that was right here. And hit into it. And had her baby. Right there. See, that is the history that I love. I'll be honest, growing up in school, I didn't like to hear about the history. Hated it, hated the history class. Would cheat on the test, you know, because our teacher at the time, he would give us study guides like the day or two before the test. And that study guide was the test, like it was the test. So me and a buddy of mine, we would have little thin pieces of paper and we'd write down the answers because they were always in a row. And like, what the point I'm trying to make is, I wasn't interested in history growing up in school. I just wasn't interested in it. But I guess, you know, you get older and you start to, at least in my scenario, I started to appreciate it more. And it puts in a big perspective when you're also living around the history. Like that, I don't know, that's just amazing to me. I don't know. I can't take back, you know, high school. You know, I can't take that back of not enjoying it then, but I can appreciate it now. So, I don't know, guys, that's my video. I know this is going to upset a lot of people, my choice of words and things I have to say, but just the way it is. This is crazy to me. Just can't imagine what that woman felt and how they all felt. The ones that got murdered and scared look in their eyes when they realized that they were being ambushed. I can't imagine that. And then seeing your family be murdered, and if you were a survivor, I know this plaque says they killed all but 3 members of the party. If you, like I said, it's a bunch of scattered information, guys. The woman that was pregnant obviously lived. Her baby did live. Yeah, okay, so that's another thing I want to note. When she came here and had her baby, it's not like she was found by the Indians and killed. No, she was able to escape. I don't know how long she sat here, but she was able to escape with her baby. Her baby had, you know, a long life. You just have to look into it all. It's a bunch of scattered information, but it's an important part of history, you know? I don't think a lot of this stuff gets talked about in school, because I know in school, I'd never heard of the Jenny Wiley stuff. I didn't know about that stuff till my mom told me that stuff. Because my grandma was born and raised here in Kentucky, then she ended up moving to Ohio and had my mom, and I was born in Ohio. So I have literally roots here in Kentucky. One is my mom told me years ago about the whole Jenny Wiley thing. And that whole story's crazy. Indians, they ended up breaking into her cabin at night. Her husband wasn't there at the time. And they killed her brother, like they killed her family. They killed her sons right there in front of her. And they ended up taking her, and they ended up, like my knowledge is a little fuzzy on it. That's why I haven't went and gone and done a video yet, because, well, it's like a couple hours away. So I want to plan like an overnight trip, you know, get a hotel. But it is here in Kentucky. It's like 2-3 hours away from me. Anyways, what I'm saying is, they ended up kidnapping Jenny Wiley. There's a whole Jenny Wiley State Resort Park. You can look it up. There's a cool historical trail when you're driving. I remember seeing the signs when I was going through Greenup, Kentucky, down to Prestonsburg, Pikeville. That's where my grandma was from, Prestonsburg, Kentucky. When I was heading down to that area, because we were heading to, Royal, Kentucky, around Salyersville is where we was heading. And ended up going to Paintsville. Anyways, what I'm saying is, around that area, there's a road, and you'll see Jenny Wiley Historical Marker Trail signs. I just thought they were so interesting. I saw the older signs, and I saw the newer signs, and I just, I don't know, that interests me and it fascinates me. So I want to do a video on that in the future, but I want to learn more about it before I do like a video and stay in there like, But basically what happened was she was kidnapped. She was taken. And I believe she had her child that was already born with her, and he was slowing them down. So they ended up killing him. And this is like a baby. Like, this is a young child, a baby. And then I can't remember if she had her baby at the time, and they ended up, I believe, killing that baby. Savages is what I'm just trying to say. Savages. This total savagery. Anyway, she ended up escaping many, was it 6 months later? She ended up escaping. She was able to escape. She ran for her life, scared. It's just, I don't think history books explain stuff like that. They want to paint like, oh, poor them, Trail of Tears, you know, stuff like that. And it's like, But when my mom was telling me about January, she's like, you didn't learn about that in school? And I'm like, no, I would have remembered things like that. I don't remember ever being taught that. It may have been in the history book, I'm not too sure, but I know like a teacher was not standing up there teaching that. They didn't teach us that, not in my school. And I don't know, it's just, I feel like they don't, I don't know. I just wish more things would be like that, especially local history. I wish more things like that would be taught, but I don't know. I like how I appreciate it more now, but that's gonna wrap it up for this video, guys. If you found interest in this, video, hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and as always, I will catch you guys in the next video. Of course, all the parking spots in this whole parking lot, it's pretty empty, I might add. I had to park right beside the spot where a freaking condom is laying. That is nasty. That is gross.